make money in the game, earn things, collect things, and not have it wiped every time we do a new release. So we're aiming to ship that will hopefully be, that should be with the 3.8 patch cycle. And now, Tech V4, which we obviously sort of unveiled at the beginning, and there was some really cool panels about it during the day, which I think is gonna, I mean, just the quality of, I mean, not just Microtech, but going back to the old places like Daymar or selling this whole new world. You know, one of the focuses we've got upcoming too, which we've not particularly managed to show well this morning, is the social group gameplay, but that is a focus for us to make sure that the FOIP and the Void and the group gameplay stuff works well. It's important for us to get stuff working for, you know, as Sean mentioned, for the Theaters of War, but just in general, playing and grouping up with your friends in the universe, doing stuff. And so that is a focus, and you'll see us iterating on that for 3.8, 3.9 and onwards. You know, more robust missions. So we've got some stuff coming up in 3.8 that you know, is interesting. Is, you know, we're starting to introduce AI into some of the missions, like say the rescue the hostage on the 890, which we had in an ATV. We were showing a very early version of it. That will be in 3.8, and there'll be some other ones along that line of missions, and that's multi-part missions, which also what we're showing is sort of an early version of a multi-part mission, what we showed at the beginning and we're going to end with here, that 3.9.40 onwards. Then, sometime around about the middle of this year, I think, so full universe persistence, and that is the persistence that allows us to save everything, period. So you can take your coffee mug that you've got in the carrot and explore on a planet and drop it in a forest, get back on your carrot, fly away, and someone else could go to that forest and see that coffee mug, or you can come back and see it if someone else hasn't stolen it. And so and that iterates every item in the game gets saved off. So basically, we save the state, it goes back to a cloud database. It's what we're calling the iCache. Of course, there'll be some stuff like, you know, not, you know, we want to be smart where like people can't like stack 1,000 turtles in a place. So obviously we'll have some policies on the items. So at some point when we're saving to the database, we'll say, well, this is a low importance item. There's too many in this area, so therefore, and this one's been around too long, so we just won't bother saving that to the database. And then you'll just sort of be like, oh, you know, someone came along while you weren't there and took the turtle or cleaned it up. But in general, you know, so the permanent structures. So one thing that gives us is the ability for you as players to go around the universe and ultimately, you know, you want to create your own base somewhere, create your own homestead. You should be able to settle down and put a base there, and it will be recorded back to the iCache, and you can come back to it, and it will be there, and it will persist. And so I think the opportunity for emergent gameplay that comes from that is going to be fantastic, because as you saw with what Tony was doing in his presentation before, we're going to have dynamic resources in the universe. We're also going to persist those. So they'll be finite, so there'll be only so much, you know, gold or adonite or whatever it is on various moons and planets. And as they get mined out, then you'll have to find some other place to move to it. And there's an especially rich scene. I can see a group of players coming, setting up camp there and starting to mine the resources. And then I can see some other groups saying, oh, well, that's great, I want some of that. They show up and, you know, you basically have two groups battling it out, and then there's a whole business that's going to be involved in, you know, supplying more weapons or logistics or healing people or bringing, you know, consumables that people need. So I think there's going to be this like dynamic, evolving system that will be incredibly interesting and compelling, and I'm really looking forward to that. And that's enabled by the full universe persistence, which is, like I said, the full persistence of all items, ships, characters, and also persistent tracking of the resources. And then the last thing, which we won't, I think, get to by the end of next year, but we'll be very close to it, is server meshing. And so everything we've been doing up until then, and that's when I think everything fully comes alive, is the server meshing allows us to have a lot more players in the same area. But the work that we've done on the kind of server-side OCS, where you can change the point of view of the server arbitrarily anywhere around and save off state is exactly what we use server meshing. Because what happens in the server, more people arrive, say, I don't know, in New Babbage, and you suddenly go, oh, you know, we can only run 100 people or 200 people or whatever the number we can simulate on the server. And there's now 201 people, you say, okay, I'm going to spin up a second server. Here's another view onto New Babbage, and these players are on that, and you just keep on spinning up more to take on the load in areas. And so that's why we needed the server OCS and bank culling and the full persistence, and enables server meshing. So that's the next thing. Once we deliver the full persistence, we're actually already starting to work on the network side of what we need for server meshing right now. But we're really excited about that, because then that's going to allow a sort of dynamic, seamless universe that won't have the same player count restrictions. And by the way, we'll also, we don't know quite with server OCS what we'll be able to do, but we're going to start experimenting with some player counts in the future and maybe upping it, because at the end of the day, if we're not simulating the whole system, and it's a smaller subset of that, we'll be able to have more players. So we'll see in the midterm if we get more players into a server right now, but longer term server meshing is what's going to allow us to really have a fully dynamic universe. And then one of the smaller things that we're going to be working on is, obviously, I've talked about the poly life, it's an ongoing effort.